In this video, we're going to learn how to find the side of a triangle using the trig ratio. What is trig ratio? Trig ratio is the so, ka, and toa, the ratio between the angle of a triangle. So for example, before we can do a trig ratio, we need to identify the sides of a triangle. So for example, if you have a right angle triangle like this, and the angle is theta, arbitrary angle called theta, and we want to label the side of a triangle. So we know the longest side is called the hypotenuse. And hypotenuse is actually found directly opposite the 90 degrees angle. Okay, so remember that the hypotenuse, the longest side, is always found opposite the 90 degrees angle. And if this is the angle, the side opposite the angle, this is labeled as the opposite. Okay, and the other side that is not labeled is called the adjacent, also called adjacent. It means next to, is next to the angle. So that is how you label a right angle triangle. On the other hand, if the angle is changed to the top, okay, we are going to label it differently. So again, the hypotenuse is the one opposite the 90 degrees, so we label them as hypotenuse. And then the one opposite the angle, this is called the opposite, and this is the adjacent. That is how you label a right angle triangle. So the short form for hypotenuse is represented by H, opposite is O, and adjacent is A. So hypotenuse is H, opposite is O, and adjacent is A. So if you want to find the sine of an angle, is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. If you want to find the tangent of the angle, you take opposite over adjacent, also called toa, and you find the cosine of an angle, you take adjacent over hypotenuse. That's how you get the formula so, ka, toa. Okay, so now without further ado, let's do some example. So suppose we are supposed to find the length x of this angle, this side x, okay? So what you need to do, you need to label the sides first. So x is the opposite, because opposite of the angle, and 72 is the adjacent, because this is not the hypotenuse, this must be the adjacent. So you got the O and the A, so you have to use the TOA. So you have to use the tangent formula. So you're going to write tangent theta equals to opposite over adjacent. So now the theta is the angle, so you put tangent 28 is going to be opposite, which is x, and adjacent is 72. To solve your x, you multiply 72 on both sides, okay? And the 72 will cancel out, so x equal to 72 tangent 28, and put in your calculator, and the answer is going to be 38.28 centimeter. That is how you solve for the length x. Okay, let's do a second example, similar but slightly different. Okay, so this is 5 meters, this is y, and this is 37 degrees. Again, you have to label the side. So y is the opposite the angle, and 5 is the hypotenuse because it's opposite the 90 degrees. So now you have the O and the H, you have to use the sine formula. So it's going to be sine theta equals to opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, now you substitute the values. Theta is 37, the angle is 37, sine 37 equals to opposite, which is y, over the hypotenuse, which is 5. To solve for y, you must multiply by 5 on both sides. Okay, when you multiply by 5, the 5 will cancel out, so y equals to 5 sine 37. Put in your calculator, and the answer is going to be 3.009 meters, because this is in meters. Okay, great. Let's do the merit question now. Okay, so now we are going to find the z. Again, we have to label the sides. So 6.2 is the adjacent because next to the angle, and z is the hypotenuse because it's opposite the 90 degrees. So you got A and H, so you have to use ka. So the formula used is cosine theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. So theta is the angle, So cos 63 adjacent is going to be 6.2 and the hypotenuse is going to be z. Okay, now z is at the bottom. You can't multiply by z. So the simplest way to do it is I'm going to teach you a trick. Is the cos multiply over 1, so z goes up and 1 goes up. So you swap places. Okay, z equals to 6.2 divided by cos 63. Put in your calculator and the answer is going to be 13.66 centimeters. So when z at the bottom, you swap places with the cosine and this will work perfectly well. Okay, now we have to find the length A, given the angle is 37 and the other side is 11.8. Again, we have to label the side. This is the angle, so this has to be the adjacent and this again is the hypotenuse. The longer side is the opposite, the 90 degrees, and we are going to use the cosine formula again. So it's going to be cosine theta equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, the theta is the angle, so cosine 37 equals to adjacent, which is 11.8 over A. Again, A at the bottom, you can swap places with the cos 37, the A go up, so 11.8 divided by cos 37, and put in your calculator, and the answer is going to be 14.78 centimeter. So there are two ways. When x is on top, you just multiply with the bottom number, the first two example. If the unknown is at the bottom, you have to swap places with the cosine or the sine angle. So hope you understand this and practice them and should be good in trigonometry, finding sides using the trig ratio. Cheers everyone.